Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. My name is Landon, and thanks so much for tuning in to this Friday morning edition to My Dogs Are Barking as we recap Mississippi State's exit from Nashville and just kind of talk about the games that took place throughout Thursday. And then towards the end of the show, we'll talk about Mississippi State's kind of path going forward and kind of what to expect for Sunday, kind of where Mississippi State is seated, or the outlook, I guess, for Mississippi State could be seated in the NCAA tournament. I think there's several positives to look at for Mississippi State versus Missouri. They didn't lose by 30 in this game, so that's nice. But there's obviously some concern, and a lot of it goes back to shooting the ball, in my opinion. Held Missouri in the first half. In the first half, Mississippi State's defense was pretty solid. But towards the end of that first half, Missouri started to kind of climb away with it offensively. They were making really good threes, some of them contested, and Mississippi State was just not able to make the same shots. I mean, the State did not shoot really well from three, but honestly, Missouri did not either. State did a pretty good job for the majority of the game and just kind of ran out of gas. So we're going to talk about the game again. There's some key takeaways in this one that I think are negative, kind of a big negative. I think that it's pretty clear and a big positive for Mississippi State coming out of this game going into the NCAA tournament. So we're going to talk about all those things. As I mentioned on the show yesterday, the background of the My Dogs Are Barking studios is a little cluttered, getting ready for trying to clear out a baby room. So we've got furniture being moved all over the place. So my apologies for that. But that is if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on, listen on one of the streams, doesn't really matter. But hey, before we get into the show, we do want to let you know that My Dogs Pod is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar there in Starkville, in the heart of the Cotton District. Arpa's such a great place, man, and such a great atmosphere, really cool vibe, especially in the evening time in the Cotton District. Is just solid. Great coffee there at Arpa's. It's a Venezuelan place. So they also have very good food, and it's also unique food. I mean, I love barbecue a ton, but it's also nice to get something that's different. And Arpa's does that for you. And again, if you need some caffeine, that's a great spot to go. And here's the deal: if you mention that you're a listener of the My Dogs Are Barking podcast, you get 15% off of your order every single time at Arpa's. Not just one time, not two times, not three, every single time. Just mention that you're a My Dogs Are Barking listener. You'd love that 15% off discount, and Jose and his team will help get you going. So, wonderful, wonderful place. But also, in this game, I was expecting Missouri to have kind of a lights out shooting night, and honestly, Caleb Grill, who's their best 3-point shooter, one of the best shooters in the nation, was 1 for 8. And overall, Missouri was 8 for 24. They're 33%. Throughout the night. And again, which was surprising. They were the opposite of money. They were the opposite of getting rich on threes. But hey, what does it even mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together, you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Congratulations to Ole Miss getting the win over Arkansas earlier on in a thrilling game. Sean Padula nails a 3 at the very end. Arkansas is an improved team. They're not a team that I'd be excited to see in the NCAA tournament. Arkansas was close there, but no cigar. And so they end up losing that one. Texas advances past Texas A&M. We talked about it in the preview show for the SEC tournament. Texas A&M was one of those teams that needed to have a good performance. Lost 4 of their past 6, and now you advance that out. Now you lost 5 of your last 7. So A&M's in a tough spot, and then obviously Missouri advances while this is being recorded Friday night. So Kentucky and Oklahoma still not even tipped off yet, and it's approaching 10 p.m. But some good matchups tomorrow. Ole Miss and Auburn will be a good one. Texas versus Tennessee just seems like that's an easy win for Tennessee, but we'll see. Missouri and Florida is going to be a really good game. Then Alabama and the finale Friday night. I do think that in this game, Mississippi State had some opportunities. It's very weird though. State led a few different times in this game, but it never felt like State really had. It's weird to say. It's like they never really had a chance. They every single time they would take the lead, Missouri just stormed back and took the lead back, kind of took it from them. And in a game where, look, I get it. Josh Hubbard's a volume shooter. He had 24, but he was 8 of 22, and he was 3 of 14 from threes. And honestly, State was pitiful from three-point land. Riley Kugel, who was 0 for 7 and 0 for 3 from three-point land. RJ Melendez was 1 for 7. Claudell Harris, no points at all. Just a rough game for Claudell Harris. 0 for 3 from 3. Sean Jones Jr., who, man, he played so good. 26 minutes, 10 points, 2 of 3 from 3, but also just affected, 2 steals, just affected so many different things. But everyone else, just rough night shooting from 3. And obviously, Missouri's a much better three-point shooting team than State is, but it's weird. Even on wide-open shots, just State couldn't nail. And, I mean, Josh Hubbard had at least 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that he could not hit. And so it kind of a frustrating night offensively because you felt like you had some chances, but just were not able to take it. And Missouri's a good team. I mean, that's just in the end, that's just kind of what it comes down to sometimes is the better team. And Missouri is for sure a better team than Mississippi State is. And I mean, currently, we'll see where they land. Joe Lenardi has them slotted as a 7 seed. I don't know about that, man. I would be scared if I was a 2 seed going up against them in the next round if they get past whoever they get the 10 seed in the first round for Missouri. But kudos to Missouri, man. They shot so they continue to go after what they're really good at, which is shooting the ball, even though they were struggling, and they hustled to the ball all night long. Josh Gray for Missouri is a guy that Mississippi State would love to have. A big that is like a thick guy down low who can get the rebounds, do the dirty work, and a lot of times State was just out hustled for rebounds, and State struggled with that. So they come up short because of that. For Missouri, Tamar Bates had 25. Tony Perkins had 20 points. And the better team won. Missouri just kind of that's how it goes for Missouri's side of things. For Mississippi State, again, I told you that there's a big negative, I think, in this game. You lost the game, but there's more than that. And then I think there's a positive. Let's start with the good news. The good news is I liked the early defensive intensity from Mississippi State. They were very aggressive against a team that shoots the ball aggressively, and they matched it shot for shot, or not shot for shot, but you understand that they matched their intensity on that side of things. And I love seeing that kind of going into the NCAA tournament. Like they showed that the intensity that they have. You kind of hope that goes into the next round. Despite the fact they're probably a little tired, just played yesterday. And so I like that part of it, but they kind of trailed off towards the end. And then again, like I like seeing RJ Melendez's 11 shots is a little much for him, but like I like seeing him drive the ball. Keyshawn Murphy is playing really, really well. His high percentage shots down low were fantastic. I mean, just really smart plays, and he was aggressive on that side of things. And I think, again, it's all about matchups. We talk about that. And Sunday, we're going to have a really good show. We're going to preview kind of a long-form preview of Mississippi State's first-round matchup. And next week's going to be just a super exciting week. But the interesting thing is matchups are such a big deal in this thing. And so if there is a team that, I've said it before, sees the size that Mississippi State has with some of the wings and the intensity of Cam Matthews and a Keyshawn Murphy, it could kind of throw them off along with Josh Hubbard's shooting ability. Those are kind of your good news parts. And Sean Jones, I mean, is whatever, the 5th or 6th guy in the rotation, and yet he is so intense in getting after the ball. He's one of the smartest players, if not the smartest player on the team. But unfortunately, I think that's kind of where, and also the free throw shooting was really good tonight as well. But I think that's kind of where the good stuff comes to a close. The team kind of did the same thing that they do, and that is they kind of trailed off towards the end, allowed Missouri to make some shots. Although, like, there were several shots that were heavily contested that Missouri still found a way to make to kind of sink. So then you go to the negative part, and that is the surrounding crew around Hubbard on the offensive side of the ball is just outside of Keyshawn Murphy. I just hated that there's not a better supporting cast in terms of shooting. 10 from Claudel Harris would make such a big difference. 10 from Riley Kugel would make a big difference. Cam Matthews has got to shoot more. I mean, played 36 minutes. He had 2 field goals. He made them both, and that was it. He only had 4 points throughout the game. But then he had a steal. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, he played very well, but he's just not aggressive enough on the offensive side of the ball. And Riley Kugel, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, and I don't know, just he's just not playing well. He did make a very good block towards the in the second half that I thought was encouraging. But Michael Nwoko, 2 points. And I get it. He didn't play a ton because he got in foul trouble early, and so Jans just took him out. Usually he kind of sets the tone sometimes, for even though he didn't play a ton. But we've seen him get 7 points just right out of the gate, 9 points out of the gate. Didn't really do much of anything. And then again, Claudel Harris, 0 of 3 from 3. He only played 10 minutes in this game. He had kind of a boneheaded foul where Missouri got to shoot 3 from there. There's just some things that concern you going into it. Now you're glad that you get the win versus LSU, and they played Missouri very well, and then just kind of trailed off towards the second half. But it's not like that. There's an array of negative for Mississippi State, even though they lost this game technically by 12. But the shooting around Hubbard is pitiful, and honestly, Hubbard himself just, I don't know, not his best performance from 3. I like to see him drive it more because he can, for a little guy, he makes contact and can try to go with the free throws. He was 5 of 7 from the free throw line tonight. Keyshawn Murphy was 6 of 8 from the free throw line and had 6 field goals. He played really, really well. And you just got to hope for the NCAA tournament that Nwoko doesn't get in foul trouble, and that otherwise it kind of throws off the flow of what State likes to do. So I don't know. For next year, you don't want to look too far into the future, but State's got to get some people who can shoot more effectively for this team. It's just, I get, like, Jans loves to recruit the defensive guys that are really good and love to get in people's faces, and my goodness, several of them have been that way. But at some point, the defense buckles because they're not scoring enough points, and the levy gives at some point. So you hate to see that from Mississippi State kind of going forward. So in the end, 85-73, we mentioned it on yesterday's show, kind of previewing this game. I just didn't think State could stop Missouri from hitting their threes. And look, they did do in the first half. They were able to hold Missouri to, what were they? Yeah, 5. They're 5 of 13 from 3. Caleb Grill was 1 for 5 from 3. So their best 3-point shooter was having a tough time. They only made 3 threes in the second half. Several of those contested, but then they did have a couple of 3-point foul from 3 points from the foul line from getting kind of fouled there. Missouri for the entire game had 20 points off on the bench. Mississippi State had 28. State had 30 points in the paint. Missouri had 36. In the end, and Missouri led this game for 26 minutes. State led it for 5. It's just the better team won. I don't know how much else you can say when it comes to that. So, but I do think now that you look forward to the NCAA tournament, and it was interesting, Jerry Palm updated his bracket this morning and has Mississippi State as a 6 seed that will play someone who's a play-in for the 11 seed. Joe Lunardi updated his bracket this evening. So this is Thursday evening. This evening, and has Mississippi State there at the 8 seed yet again, but this time facing Creighton instead of UConn, which makes sense because UConn you won, so they moved up to an 8 seed as well. We're going to discuss where Mississippi State fits in going into Sunday, kind of where I think they're going to end up. This game was, we said it yesterday, in order for State to get off of that 8-9 line, they really needed to win versus Missouri. And then you at least have a chance to get put on the 7 from other teams losing, whatever the case may be. But now you just kind of sit back and wait. Now, the good news is you don't sit back and wait for, being on the bubble or something like that. There's several teams that are sweating today just trying to figure out, where are they going to go from here. State, between quad 1 and quad 2 opportunities, if you kind of look at their resume, is 13 and 11. seven quad one wins is really, really solid. But losing some of those games, the Texas win, beating Texas, beating Arkansas, beating Oklahoma there at the end, just would have saved State from the 7 line or from the 8-9 line, and now it just looks like that's where State's going to go. I would be interested to see why Jerry Palm thinks State's going to be able to get on the 6th seed. That will not happen. So we're going to take a quick break. Here's some messages from MPW Digital. When we come back, we're going to talk about where State kind of sits going into Sunday. And then also for the remainder of the NCAA tournament, who has the best chance to win. From here, I think, in terms of the higher seeds that are kind of going into Friday's matchups, Ole Miss looked really, really good versus Arkansas, but Auburn's been sitting there and waiting and kind of waiting for their opportunity. But Ole Miss shot the ball really well. Even some contested threes, hand in the face, and we're sinking some shots. Tennessee, you would think they'd be able to take care of Texas. Trey Johnson's, I mean, he's a lottery pick now. Like he's a really good player. He's a top 10 pick. But Tennessee just got so many different weapons. And then Missouri's going to take on Florida. And then we will see who, by the time this comes out, we'll know who Alabama's playing. But at the given moment, we do not. I would imagine Kentucky, though. So either way, you get to see Alabama play tomorrow night, and that'll be fun to watch. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back and talk about the kind of finale where Mississippi State is where they kind of look like they're going to end up as of now.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW
Brought to
Digital.
you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy.
Well, welcome back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. Mississippi State loses to Missouri, 85-73. They are eliminated from Nashville. They're going home. I hope they at least got some Hattie B's while they were up there, some Prince's hot chicken. Although, as a guy that loves hot chicken, I got to say, if you're in Nashville, I think Prince's is a little bit of a letdown, just personally. I know they they say they invented it. They got beef with other people, but Hattie B's is pretty solid. It's kind of tough to go wrong with Hattie B's. And then also, what is it? Party Foul downtown is really, really good. I think they just closed down the one that's in Franklin. But if you have a chance, either of those places are fantastic. My only thing with Prince's is they don't make their own ranch. They have remember the ranches you'd get when you were at school, and you were in high school or whatever, and they just had the prepackaged ranch that is very gross. That's what they're doing there. That just kind of seems like a sin, just personally, but that's okay. So State's going to head home to Starkville with an unfortunate kind of taste in their mouth, unless they had Hattie B's. But Where do they go from here? State is, as I just mentioned, currently set up as an 8 seed, and they're set up as an 8 seed to face Creighton. Not a team I would want to face. They have several people who are in the high 30s when it comes to percentage shooting three. But I want to pause there before I even go any further. At this point in the season, they're all good teams. This is the NCAA tournament. There's no, matchups are the best case scenario. But if State got matched up with VCU, would you be super excited and think they're going to be able to take it? If they got matched up with Troy, would you feel great? Like I wouldn't. But if State were to get past Creighton, according to Joe Lunardi, they would then play Duke, who's the number 1 seed, assuming, of course, Duke's able to beat either American University or St. Francis as the 16-1 matchup. As I mentioned, Jerry Palm has Mississippi State currently as a 6 seed. That will not happen. I'm interested to see where he finishes with State, kind of where he thinks they will end up. The good news is Sunday we'll be able to figure that out and find all that stuff out. I'm very excited about that. We will have a show kind of detailing where State is, kind of the matchup, who they get put up with on the first part of next week, so Monday, either early Monday morning or late Sunday night, depending on when we're able to finally record it. But State has proven, kind of the synopsis of this season, it's just kind of been a disappointment on some of the transfer portal guys. I think RJ Melendez, honestly, I think you probably got better results than you expected getting RJ Melendez. I think you got him, and he's done better than I think he's done his entire career here at State, and he shot the ball maybe a little bit too much, but he's been a solid defender and can kind of be a good 3-and-D guy. Claudel Harris has just kind of trailed off. I mean, he's hit some very big shots, but just he's not been, I think, what State was hoping for. Kanye Clary has been gone since the early part of the season. Michael Nwoko, I think Nwoko has a good future at Mississippi State if he decides to stay. He might not, but I think he's got some potential. Jeremy Famina hadn't played. He got in for a few minutes versus LSU last night, but he, other than that, had not played, I think, since January 4th, the Rhode Island transfer. Trying to remember if I'm forgetting somebody. Riley Kugel, we've kind of already talked about him. Just kind of a hot and cold, and it's a lot more cold than hot. I'll leave it there. Overall, and I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I'm forgetting, but I don't think so. I think that's kind of the majority of State's players. So I do struggle with thinking about where he goes next season and kind of who he decides to kind of lean on. Obviously, you think you get Josh Hubbard back unless he goes somewhere else for more cash, more NIL. I feel like you gotta revolve. If you get Josh Hubbard back and you get Keyshawn Murphy back, I feel like you gotta add a big that can rebound. Think about Jimmy Bell. Think about Will McNair from 2 years ago. Just a big guy that can go get a rebound. He doesn't have to even put up the finish. Just rebound and kick it back out to somebody else. And then you've got to go get guys who can shoot the ball better, because this idea that you can just go on defenders and defense will win you the game is not working out for Mississippi State. So, but we'll see what happens in the end. I don't know who State will get matched up with in the NCAA tournament, but I mean, if you were to guess, will they win a game in the NCAA tournament? I would say no at this moment, which is odd because last season, or even going back 2 years, I thought State had a good chance to beat Pitt in the play-in game, and they had an open three at the end of the game. Shaquille Murphy, another guy who's a really good defender, not a good shooter, misses. Last season, State goes up against Michigan State. Michigan State's a 9 seed, but you just kind of felt like because Hubbard had been getting hot, you got Rams Davis and Tolu Smith, that they'd have a chance there. And again, Michigan State was very inconsistent. I felt good about State's chances going into that. Even before they were picked, I just felt like, okay, State's got a good chance there. Here, there's just not a lot of confidence leaving Nashville. It's like a failed country music artist. Some guy that left his hometown is like, I'm going to Nashville and I'm going to change everything for my family. And then he, like, a year later, he's like, I'm actually going to move back home to Pittsburgh or whatever. You don't feel good about where State is going into the NCAA tournament, and that's hard because you think about it. You got your rival who feels like miles ahead of you in football, and basketball seemed to be a place. And again, you swept them in the regular season, but who gives a rip? Ole Miss is going to be a 5 seed at worst, I think. Could be even better than that. And they have a lot of confidence. And they're still playing in Nashville. So you hate seeing that from that perspective of things. And so states need some momentum. Again, I think if they end up winning one game in the NCAA tournament, I think that's a win. You just have a tough time feeling that that's going to happen at this moment in time. So we will look at all that on Selection Sunday. Keep staying locked in on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod. If you are a Mississippi State fan, you're bummed out, you're ticked off, man, just stinks that your team lost. Still the best time of the year, man. It's so much fun watching all these teams. I mean, it's 10 p.m. on a Thursday, and we've got we've got Kentucky and Oklahoma playing. Like, this is what other Thursday night are you getting that kind of thing? Thursday night football during the football season has been terrible for a long time. So sorry about my camera. It's going wild. So anyway, we will holler at you next time. Thank you so much for listening to My Dogs Are Barking podcast. And we'll see you Sunday night for Selection Sunday.